Alex Thompson was the kind of man who found joy in the small moments of life. He woke each morning to the soft sound of his children, Lily and Jake, giggling as they played hide and seek in the hallway. His wife, Sarah, would usually be in the kitchen, preparing breakfast with a smile that could brighten even the cloudiest day. Their home was a haven of laughter and love, filled with family photos and traces of their shared adventures. At 35, Alex had built a life he was proud of, one grounded in simple pleasures: Saturday morning pancakes, evening strolls in the park, and family game nights that often spiraled into delightful chaos. He took pride in being a devoted husband and father, always prioritizing their happiness above all else. His weekends were dedicated to building treehouses or helping with school projects, moments that made him feel fulfilled. Yet beneath this serene surface lay an undercurrent of anxiety that Alex struggled to acknowledge. He often found himself worrying about the future. What if something happened to them? The thought was fleeting but persistent. Little did he know that on this particular morning, his fears were about to manifest in a way he could never have imagined. Life as he knew it was about to change forever. The dawn light seeped through the curtains as Alex slowly stirred from his slumber, the familiar sounds of laughter breaking through the morning haze. He could hear Lily and Jake playing their favorite game of hide and seek, their giggles echoing down the hallway like music. With a smile tugging at his lips, he stretched and sat up, taking a moment to bask in the warmth of his family's morning routine. In the kitchen, the enticing aroma of pancakes wafted through the air, mingling with the scent of fresh coffee brewing. Sarah was already busy, effortlessly moving between the stove and the counter with a grace that always amazed him. Her hair was pulled back loosely, and she wore one of his oversized shirts, which made her look even more radiant. They often shared knowing glances, a silent conversation filled with love and mutual understanding. As he made his way downstairs, Alex felt a swell of gratitude. Every morning was a cherished ritual. He would join Sarah in the kitchen, stealing kisses and playfully tussling with the kids before breakfast. The sound of their voices filled the home with an unmistakable warmth, a cocoon of safety and happiness that wrapped around him like a comforting blanket. Little did he know how fleeting these moments would soon feel. As Alex descended the stairs, a nagging sense of unease began to creep in, replacing the joyful anticipation he usually felt in the morning. The familiar sounds of laughter and playful shouting were absent. Instead, an eerie silence enveloped the house, heavy and unsettling, as if the air itself held its breath. He paused at the bottom step, straining to hear any sign of his family. "Lily? Jake?" he called out, his voice echoing against the quiet walls. The absence of their spirited responses sent a chill racing down his spine. A knot formed in his stomach as he ventured further into the foyer, glancing toward the living room where they often gathered. He stepped cautiously into the kitchen, half expecting to find Sarah humming along to the radio while flipping pancakes. But instead, he was met with an unnerving stillness. The coffee pot quietly bubbled away, yet everything else seemed untouched. No plates clattered in the sink. No cheerful voices filled the space. A sense of dread curled around him, whispering that something was amiss. Alex turned abruptly to survey each room, a rising panic clawing at him as he ventured through their home. The absence of his loved ones felt like a heavy weight bearing down on his heart. Something was desperately wrong, and he could feel it deep within his bones. Alex's heart raced as he moved through the house, his footsteps echoing ominously on the hardwood floors. He started in the living room, where their colorful toys usually scattered about now lay undisturbed. The couch, usually a fortress of cushions and laughter, sat eerily empty. Next, he made his way to the children's rooms, each door creaking open to reveal an unsettling stillness. Lily's room was filled with pastel colors and neatly arranged stuffed animals, while Jake's space hosted an unmade bed and forgotten action figures. Their empty beds were a stark reminder of the warmth that should have filled these spaces, intensifying the gnawing feeling in Alex's stomach. He hurried to the kitchen, hoping to find Sarah bustling about or at least see plates set for breakfast. Instead, the table remained untouched, chairs pushed back as if their occupants had vanished mid-meal. The half-brewed coffee sat forlornly next to a plate of pancakes left cold and steamless. Panic settled deeper in his chest as he swung open cupboards and peered beneath tables. Anywhere they might be hiding. "Where are you?" he muttered to himself, desperation creeping into his voice. The absence of his family felt all-consuming, and each empty room intensified his dread. A haunting reminder that something was profoundly wrong. As Alex's heart raced with fear, a sudden glimmer of hope flickered in his mind. Perhaps the back door had been left ajar. He rushed toward it, drawn by an urge to explore any clue that might explain his family's mysterious absence. Pushing open the door, he was met by a chill breeze that sent a shiver down his spine. He stepped outside, scanning the yard for any sign of them, when something caught his eye on the ground. A trail of strange footprints led away from the back door and extended into the grass. Unlike any tracks he had seen before, they were large and elongated, as if formed by something unusual, almost unnatural. The imprints imprinted in the soft earth appeared to have no distinct heel or toe, creating a bizarre outline that left Alex both curious and alarmed. Kneeling beside the footprints, he could feel his pulse quicken. Questions flooded his mind. What could have made these? How did it get into their home without him noticing? Peering closer, he noticed how the prints seemed to drag slightly, as if the creator was burdened or hesitant. A sense of dread replaced what little hope had sparked within him. The mystery of the footprints only deepened his concern for his loved ones. If they had been taken, could these strange marks hold the key to their whereabouts? Driven by a desperate need for answers, Alex decided to follow the strange footprints that led away from his home. The ground felt soft beneath his feet as he stepped cautiously, noting how the prints wound through the grass and towards the edge of the backyard, where the familiar landscape began to shift into a dense thicket of trees. Each step heightened his anxiety, but he knew he had no choice. He had to uncover what had happened. As he navigated through the yard, the world around him seemed to fade away, consumed by an uneasy quiet. The vibrant colors of flowers and greenery felt muted under the weight of his worry. He followed the trail beyond the wooden fence that marked his property line and into a small wooded area that bordered their home. The footprints continued into the woods, weaving between shrubs and trees, their bizarre shapes almost blending with the earthy terrain. Alex's heart pounded in rhythm with each footstep. He could feel raw determination coursing through him. What if these marks were leading him to his family? It was a sliver of hope amid a whirlwind of dread. But as he ventured further, shadows deepened around him, and an unsettling sensation washed over him. He was not just following a trail. He was stepping into unknown territory where anything could happen. As Alex pressed deeper into the woods, fleeting memories began to surface, revealing an unsettling tension that had brewed in the days leading up to his family's disappearance. He recalled a dinner just last week, where Sarah had seemed distant, her brow furrowed as she stared into her plate. When he asked if something was wrong, she had brushed it off with a forced smile, but the unease in her eyes lingered. Another image flickered in his mind. Lily and Jake bickering over a toy earlier that week, their playful banter turning unexpectedly sharp. "You always take my stuff," Jake shouted, his face flushed with frustration. Alex had intervened, trying to restore calm, but he remembered the storm brewing beneath their laughter, an undercurrent of unresolved feelings that seemed to permeate their home. Then there was a late-night argument between him and Sarah about finances and future plans. The raised voices echoed in his memory, leaving behind a bitter aftertaste. Sarah had voiced concerns about moving to a bigger house, wanting more space for their growing family. His reluctance had sparked a heated discussion that felt uncharacteristic of their usually harmonious relationship. These memories weighed heavily on Alex as he trudged deeper into the woods. Each flashback intensified his anxiety, intertwining with the present fear that something sinister had taken root within their seemingly happy family life. As Alex followed the strange footprints deeper into the woods, he began to notice peculiar details in nature that only heightened his sense of unease. The usual chirping of birds was replaced by an eerie silence, as if the forest itself had gone still, holding its breath. Occasionally, a rustle in the underbrush would send a jolt of panic through him, But each time he turned, there was nothing but the sway of trees and flickering shadows. He spotted a family of deer standing uncharacteristically frozen, their eyes wide and alert. Normally skittish creatures, they seemed transfixed by something just beyond Alex's view. Their sudden stillness sent a shiver down his spine. It was as though they too sensed an unseen threat lurking nearby. A low growl emitted from somewhere deep within the thicket, further unsettling him. It was unlike any sound he had heard before. A throaty rumble that seemed to echo both menace and confusion. The air grew thick with tension, and a dark cloud began to gather overhead, casting an ominous shadow over the path. As he continued to tread carefully, he felt a prickling sensation at the back of his neck, as if he were being watched. With every step, Alex's heart raced, the bizarre behavior of the animals and the unnatural sounds around him amplifying the dread that had settled deep within him. What was happening here? As Alex pressed onward, a sudden movement in the shadows drew his attention. Emerging from behind a gnarled tree was a figure cloaked in a tattered brown coat, their face obscured by a wide-brimmed hat. The stranger's presence sent an immediate jolt of uncertainty through Alex, mingling with his fear. "Looking for something?" the stranger called out, their voice low and gravelly, but with an odd cadence that felt almost melodic. Alex instinctively took a step back, sizing up the person before him. I'm looking for my family," he stammered, uncertainty flickering in his chest. "Have you seen them?" The stranger nodded slowly, stepping closer into the dappled light filtering through the trees. "I know what happened to them," they said cryptically, "but this isn't a place for explanations." Alex's heart raced. Trust was a fragile thing in this moment, yet desperation pushed him to listen. "What do you mean? Where are they?" The stranger fixed their gaze on Alex, eyes piercing and intense. "There are forces at play here that you don't understand," they warned. "Follow me if you want answers. But be aware, not everything is as it seems." Confusion clashed with urgency within Alex. Did he dare follow this enigmatic figure deeper into the woods on a promise of answers? The choice loomed before him like a dense fog, mystery or safety, truth or deception. The stranger led Alex through the dense underbrush, their footsteps muffled by the thick carpet of leaves. "There are legends about this area," the stranger began, glancing back at Alex with an intensity that demanded his full attention. "Stories handed down through generations. They speak of a force that can take what it desires. Families, children, things that bring joy." Alex's stomach twisted at the implication. "What are you saying? Are you suggesting something supernatural took my family?" The stranger nodded slowly, an enigmatic smile playing on their lips. "The footprints you found? They're not just marks in the mud. They're signs, markers left by those who've been claimed." They paused, allowing the weight of their words to settle in the air. People who wander too close to this forest often disappear without a trace. Confusion and fear battled within Alex as he struggled to absorb this information. "So what do I do? How can I get them back?" "There's a gathering tonight at the old stone circle beyond these woods," the stranger instructed. "If you wish to see your family again, you must confront what lies within. But be warned, many who go seeking truth do not return." With each revelation, Alex felt a mix of dread and determination swell within him. The path ahead was fraught with danger, yet he understood his only option was to face whatever dark forces had taken his loved ones. As Alex stood at the edge of the darkening woods, a storm of emotions raged within him. Fear clawed at his insides, fear of the unknown, fear of what could have happened to Sarah, Lily, and Jake. He felt raw vulnerability in the pit of his stomach, the weight of uncertainty pressing heavily on his chest. Every shadow that flitted through the trees seemed to whisper his doubts, reminding him of the legends he had just heard and the ominous fate of those who sought the truth. But amidst the fear, a flicker of hope ignited. Could answers lie at the stone circle? Was there a chance, however slim, of finding his family? This hope propelled him forward, a fragile thread tethering him to sanity as he wrestled with despair. Alex also questioned everything he had ever believed about reality. The idea that something supernatural could take his loved ones intertwined with his logical mind, shaking the very foundation of what he understood about life and safety. He reflected on the conversations and quarrels that had recently plagued their home, wondering if they had ignored signs, brushed aside fears that had now manifested into something terrifyingly real. With determination fueling his steps, Alex steadied himself. He resolved to confront whatever awaited him at the gathering, driven not only by a desperate need to save his family, but also by an unwavering quest for truth, no matter how dark it might be. With a surge of determination, Alex raced through his familiar neighborhood, the streets now seeming alien under the weight of his frantic search. He passed the playground where Lily and Jake often laughed and played, its emptiness amplifying the hollowness in his chest. Each obstacle he encountered, a fallen branch, an overgrown bush, felt like an insurmountable barrier, mirroring his mental turmoil. He called out for his family at every corner, his voice filled with desperation that echoed back at him in reply, only intensifying the dread coiling in his stomach. As he ventured beyond the neighborhood into the surrounding woods, memories of joyful family outings turned into haunting reminders of what was missing. The rustle of leaves felt like whispers of encouragement morphing into taunts, heightening his anxiety. The sky grew darker as he navigated treacherous terrain, roots jutting out like skeletal hands trying to hinder his progress. Fear morphed into panic as a distant howl sliced through the silence. Was it an animal or something more sinister? It rocked him to his core, making him question if he was indeed alone in this fight. But amidst the chaos in his mind, a flicker of determination ignited within him. He would not stop until he uncovered the truth. The need to rescue his family pushed him forward even as shadows pressed against him, fueling an intense fire in his heart. As Alex pressed deeper into the woods, the strange footprints began to fade, their distinct shapes becoming increasingly indistinguishable among the fallen leaves and underbrush. He felt a pang of desperation as he knelt to examine the ground, searching for any trace that might guide him. The air grew thick with tension, and shadows flitted between the trees, taunting him with their elusive nature. Suddenly, the trail led him to a clearing where an ancient stone circle stood, partially overgrown with moss and ivy. This place, the old stone circle, was a local mystery, often whispered about in town. Alex remembered the stories of rituals held here long ago, rumored to be linked to ancient spirits that protected or cursed the land. He could hardly believe he had come to this point. Legends that had once seemed fantastical now loomed ominously real. With each step closer to the stones, Alex felt an electric pull, as if the very ground beneath him vibrated with history. The footprints' disappearance suggested he was on the cusp of something significant, yet unsettling. He took a deep breath, battling waves of fear and uncertainty, knowing that uncovering the truth behind this mysterious sight could lead him to his family, or into deeper peril. The night was closing in, and whatever awaited him within this circle would determine not only his fate but that of his loved ones as well. As Alex stepped into the clearing marked by the ancient stone circle, an oppressive darkness blanketed the area, thickening the air with a chilling presence. The stones loomed like silent sentinels, their surfaces etched with cryptic symbols that seemed to pulse with a life of their own. He could feel the weight of history pressing down on him, as if the very ground beneath his feet was alive with untold stories and secrets. Suddenly, a low, resonant growl echoed through the clearing, sending shivers down his spine. From the shadows emerged a menacing figure, its features obscured and eyes glinting like coals in the darkness. The entity exuded an aura of malevolence that made Alex's heart race. "You seek what has been taken," it intoned, voice deep and gravelly, wrapping around him like a cold fog. "Where are my family?" Alex demanded, his voice laced with desperation yet firm. The creature chuckled darkly, a sound filled with malice. "They belong to this place now," it replied. "You must understand. To reclaim them, you must confront your own fears and desires." With each word, Alex felt an escalation of terror and resolve within him. He would not let fear dictate his actions. He had come too far. Gathering his courage, he readied himself for whatever confrontation awaited him, aware that this moment could determine not only his fate, but also that of Sarah, Lily, and Jake. With the menacing figure looming before him, Alex felt his heart pound in his chest like a war drum, each beat echoing his resolve. He took a deep breath, grounding himself in the love he felt for Sarah, Lily, and Jake. Memories of their laughter and warmth surged through him, igniting a fierce determination to confront the entity and reclaim his family. "I won't let you keep them," he shouted, his voice breaking through the oppressive darkness. The creature's laughter resonated ominously, but Alex felt a surge of courage wash over him. "Whatever it takes, I will face my fears and fight for them." In that moment of clarity, he realized that this confrontation was not just about physical strength. It was also about confronting the doubts that had plagued him, the worries about being a good husband and father, about failing to protect his family when they needed him most. With renewed purpose, Alex stepped forward into the stone circle. The ground beneath him seemed to pulse with energy as he focused on the connection he shared with his loved ones. "I am stronger than my fears," he declared defiantly. "You cannot break me." As a blinding light erupted from the stones, Alex prepared himself for the ultimate showdown. He knew that defeating this dark presence could mean losing everything or finally reclaiming what he loved most in the world. In a blinding flash of light, the confrontation reached its peak, and Alex felt a surge of energy enveloping him. The darkness dissipated, revealing his family standing at the edge of the stone circle, their expressions a mix of confusion and relief. As he rushed towards them, the oppressive aura that had filled the clearing began to fade, replaced by a sense of warmth and safety. "Dad!" Lily cried out, running into his arms while Jake followed suit, wrapping his small arms around Alex's waist. The moment was overwhelming. Tears streamed down Alex's face as he held them close, feeling the weight of fear lift from his heart. As they stood together, Sarah emerged from the shadows, her eyes wide with emotion. "I knew you would come for us," she whispered, her voice trembling. Yet even in this moment of reunion, Alex felt a shift within himself. The journey through fear and uncertainty had transformed him. He realized how fragile happiness could be and how vital it was to cherish every moment with his family. They had overcome darkness together. Now it was time to heal. As they made their way back home hand in hand, Alex understood that life would not return to its previous ease. It would be marked by deeper connections and an awareness of the shadows lurking just beyond their doorstep. But armed with love and resilience, they would face whatever challenges lay ahead together. As they settled back into the familiar embrace of home, Alex's mind raced with reflections on what they had endured. The journey through darkness had irrevocably altered his perspective on life and love. No longer would he take for granted the laughter that filled their halls or the simple moments shared around the dinner table. The fragility of happiness weighed heavily on him now, a poignant reminder that joy could be fleeting. In the quiet of the living room, Alex watched Sarah and the kids as they resumed their routines, an ordinary scene that felt profoundly extraordinary after their harrowing experience. Each smile exchanged, each gentle touch reminded him of the bonds that had been tested, yet ultimately strengthened. But shadows lingered in his thoughts. Questions about the supernatural forces they had encountered danced at the edges of his mind. Was it truly over? What other secrets lay hidden within the woods? He realized that while they had returned physically, echoes of their ordeal would remain. An awareness of life's unpredictability and a renewed commitment to face whatever challenges lay ahead together. Love, once a simple notion, became a fierce armor against uncertainty, binding them closer than ever before. As they gathered for a family dinner, Alex embraced both gratitude and apprehension, knowing that life's unknown paths could lead to darkness again, but also to resilience and strength as long as they faced them together.